Hey guys, I'm DeShawn Cavanaugh from Saved by the Bell, and you are listening to the Man Cave Chronicles podcast. Welcome.
Welcome to another episode of the Man Cave Chronicles.
Welcome to the party, pal!
You're my boy, Blue!
Yo, Adrian!
A podcast with interviews of amazing guests from the world of pop culture.
Oh, yeah!
TV.
Nice!
Movies.
Oh, I love the movies!
Comedy and more. From deep inside the Man Cave, your host, Elias.
DeShawn, welcome to the cave.
Woohoo! Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
How are you, man? What's new with you?
I'm doing well. As far as new, not too much. I, had a show come out pretty recently. That's awesome. So I'm just, keeping up online and digitally with that, and staying in contact with my family as much as I can. Yeah.
So you're out in LA, right? And your family's from Minnesota?
That's correct. That's correct. You've done the research.
I've done the research. So how is that whole thing? You're there and your parents, your family's on the other side.
It's difficult for sure, but for me, coming to LA was something that I had considered. I was a performer all throughout high school. I was like, I'm either going to go to New York or to California. And it just so happened to work out that I went to California, and it's tough, especially during these really challenging times with everything going on with COVID-19, with all of the political conversations happening and thoughts going through people's heads, and fear. So it's been tough, but throughout time, like I've been here for 5 years. It's nice actually, because it's super warm in California. Minnesota has snow, so I get to go home to Minnesota to see the snow when I want to frolic a little bit, throw a few snowballs, and then come back and enjoy the warmth.
So you mentioned earlier, you had a new show. Of course, everybody knows Saved by the Bell, the reboot. You've done a few other projects, so we'll talk about that. Let's get to know a little bit more about you. You said you're from Minnesota. Like, how old were you when you kind of had an idea this is what you wanted to do?
Well, so I was a performer all throughout high school. And so I was in show choir, which was like singing and dancing at the same time. Midwest, it's kind of a big thing. There's a little competitive, community there. So my high school competed in that. And then I also did theater. And so I definitely knew I wanted to do performing, because in high school, I may not have excelled in every class. I was good at English, not so good at math. But every single year I was all aces in choir, and just really enjoyed it and found my passion at a young age, which was great. I think I just liked attention. I liked, talking to people, and I liked how it felt to perform. So
how old were you when you started performing?
I'd say taking myself seriously performing, 14. My freshman year of high school, I joined the varsity show choir at my school, which basically meant that I would learn a whole set 30-minute dance routine of different songs, singing along at the same time. And I would do that pretty much every year during the winter competition season for my entire high school career. It's one of those things where it's like, well, once you're in your family, you can't get out. So
was there like a specific movie or TV show that you're watching also that kind of pushed you more to this? Like, what was like some of your favorites growing up? That's
a good question. It's funny you say that, and some people have different opinions, but Forrest Gump was a movie for me. My mom, we used to have a family joke. She would call me Forrest, and I'd call her Jenny, just as like a joke, because she loved that movie as when I was growing up, and I thought that was great. So I really liked Tom Hanks as somebody I always looked up to, and I loved how, the odds being stacked against Forrest Gump, he always had this outlook of just being able to just, he just went through it. He just went through everything, and that's a movie that really stuck out to me. As a kid, I did like a lot of animation as a kid. I liked a lot of comedy, as you can see with my resume. Like, I worked a lot in comedy stuff, but I've started diving more, and the older I've gotten, into more dramatic stuff. And Get On Up was a movie that I really liked too. I saw that when I was about 16. That was definitely one of the movies. I came out to California to visit when I was 16, and that was a big deciding factor too, because I saw Get On Up, the biopic on James, James Brown, yeah, James Brown, and yeah, that movie is incredible. And Chadwick Boseman, that was the first time I'd ever seen him. And you know, at the time I was doing music, and so biopic about a musician that really resonated with me. And seeing it in the cinema was just boom. In the film, yeah, I say the cinema, but you know, it was one of those things. Those movie experiences, sometimes that's something you can only experience in the theater. You know.
So here's a question about Minnesota. How did you not get pushed to like get into playing hockey or something like that? Because I thought every kid up there has to play hockey. It's like a law.
Well, I did play hockey for 7 years, so it's a law. Yeah. Especially, you know, I was a bigger kid too, so they were like, DeShawn, don't be afraid to throw your weight around. But I never really, you know, got too aggressive when I played. I was a forward, but I never really checked anybody. I did play hockey though. I got the MVP when I was like in my third year of recreational playing. Not MVP, most improved player, MIP, something like that. But yeah, I definitely had teachers at school who were like, "Oh, DeShawn, you're big. You should do wrestling. You should do swimming." And I thought about it, but the first thing that I did when I joined high school, and I think this ultimately led to my path of performing, was I started with choir and the dance, and so I, you know, that was something I was going to stick to. And so with that, juggling that along with sports, you know, I kind of had to choose, and I chose to do music and artistry, acting.
When you finished high school, what was your next step? What did you do?
I moved right out to Los Angeles, California.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just went for it, huh?
Yeah. I said, let's go to Hollywood. Luckily I had some family to stay with, and, you know, I got my feet kind of set up, and it was funny. I used to walk around in a suit on Hollywood Boulevard, just thinking that some big producer would walk up to me and go, "Hey kid, you got a great look. You're going to be in my next movie." Yeah.
When you told your family you were going to pack your stuff and you're just going right out there, what did your mom say to you?
Well, she was like, "If that's what you want to do, you do it. If that's what you want to do it." She definitely did not, you know, instill any doubt in me. She always empowered me. She still does. You know, my mom is my heart, my strength. I love her to death. Yeah. When I was young, you know, she, being in the choir and stuff, it all cost money to be in every play and every choir. And no matter what it was, if it was something attached to school, something that she saw a potential future for me and something that made me happy, she always made sure it happened for me and supported me. So yeah.
So
nice.
you've been to LA for 5 years. When you first moved out there, how much time did you give yourself to say, okay, I'm going to stick around for an X amount of time, and if I don't make it, then I'll move back or I'll get into something else? What was your goal?
Yeah, that's something that, you know, I didn't really think about it that way. And I'll tell you why, because when I first came out, I thought I was going to get into a performing arts school. I auditioned for AMDA. It's a, you know, a school where they can teach you can get a degree in musical theater, you can get a degree in acting, you can learn a lot of stuff. The American Dramatics and Music Academy is what it's called. But I auditioned, got into the school, and then had my parents tell me that there was no way we were going to be able to afford to send me to that school. And neither of them were wanting me to take on, you know, a bunch of loans or something along those lines. And so I was pretty devastated, and I took that as kind of, that was my okay, oh wow, is this going to make me or break me? But it was like, I'm here, I had just got here, I thought this was the path I'm going to go on. Okay, I thought I was going to do classic academia, do 4 years of school, then start acting. Well, then I decided to go, well, I'm 18 now, I might as well start just trying to be a professional actor now, because if I'm not going to be able to get to go to school, why waste any more time? And that was kind of the make it or break it moment for me. And when I decided that, it didn't matter. There wasn't really a time limit on it, but I do remember I took stepping stones for me. So for me, I didn't just jump into my series regular leading role on some sitcom or anything. You know, I took steps and I learned. Before I was an actor on set, getting paid big bucks, I had done PA work on set. I just learned how it was to be a part of the industry, and I started doing background work and extra work where you're basically just standing around in the movies. But something you can learn from the industry is, those first couple roles, I realized, oh, well, they'd call me in to be in a high school football scene or, in the stands cheering in a crowd or, that's when you start to identify how the industry sees you. So everything I did in the industry, stepping my way up to where I am now, I was learning and growing and trying to take steps and crawl, higher. And so, for me, I know I got a little sidetracked from your question, but it was like every time I got a little blip of information that encouraged me. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go until I remember when I first realized joining the union was based off of how many productions that you had to be a part of. You have to be a part of 3 productions that are SAG, and you need to be paid on a SAG contract as a non-SAG actor to join the union. And so when I found that out, that gave me a goal. And by the end of that year, I had all 3 of those vouchers.
What was one of your first gigs that you got out there? Well, you actually had lines in it and everything.
Yeah. So funny story. I was, well, I've done a bunch of things. I guess which story to tell is the question.
Well, I know you've done School. I know you did Ballers as the teenage Spencer, which that had to be awesome, by the way.
That was really fun. And that one was one my manager booked me on. And, it was really a lot based off of my physicality. I look a lot like how The Rock looks. And, it was a stunt scene and I had stunts on my resume. That was one of the things I got into when I first moved here. I started taking free running courses at Tempest Free Running Academy in Northridge. Totally great place to train if you ever want to do any stunts. But yeah, that was awesome. I had a line on American Vandal, that Netflix show. And that was one of my first co-starring credits. And it was funny because they had hired me just to kind of be a featured character, to like give some looks to the main character and just be, one of his buddies. And there was a scene where, it was kind of a Spartacus moment. Everyone's standing up and saying, I drew the dicks. And I just decided to improv a little bit, and the director saw that, liked it, and was like, okay, great, we're gonna try a couple other things. And that was my first co-star contract. Well, we ended up shooting on the day, didn't end up making it into the final take. I was still in the episode, just my line didn't end up making the final cut. But that was one of my first co-star contracts, was just me improving and just feeling the energy of the scene and kind of bringing a little me.
When you did Ballers, did you have a chance to meet The Rock?
Honestly, I didn't, because that show, in LA, especially with high budget shows, Ballers is a show where, everything it looks great. It all looks high luxury. And so, to pull that off, they need to have a lot of money. And so if they have enough money to pull off those shots, then they have enough money to have 2 full productions running at the same time. One running 15-year-old Spencer in the bar, which I was filming, doing stunts, and then actual shooting with Dwayne and the other cast members and the other side of town. It was just awesome to be a part of that production, because I was like, well, so am I going to see him at all? I saw his trailer, but they just had 2 full teams running at the same time. And so I was like, okay, I got my work to do today, and maybe we'll see him someday soon. Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that you didn't get a chance to meet him, because you were playing a younger version of him, just to run off ideas off each other, how to play the character.
Yeah, I mean, it was a quick stunt, and it was like a bar fight that he was retelling the story of, and we were basically reenacting, and so it was cool. We worked with the stunt team on that one, and that was really fun, because I have never been in an actual bar fight, but you watch the episode, we had a bar fight that day. We were shooting pool, and then all of a sudden somebody busts a bottle over somebody's head, and it was pretty cool day.
So let's talk about your new show, man. Now you're on Saved by the Bell. How exciting has this project been for you?
Oh, it's been incredible. It is a classic, as we all know. I gotta say, if you haven't seen the show, definitely check it out. It is so different and refreshing from the old one, but still calls back to the nostalgia. It was really exciting to be able to work on the show. The entire cast was just phenomenal. Really good people, really funny people, and the writers, they know what they're doing, but they're also willing to let their actors play. And like I said, I like to do improv, and on that show, they let me play around a little bit, which I thought was really fun. I mean, my character Colt, he's a reoccurring football player. He comes throughout the season, and when you see him, you definitely know you're ready for a laugh, because he's just, he's one of those characters where it's either you're laughing at him, you're laughing with him, but either way, it's it's all fun.
First of all, did you watch the original?
I've watched some of the original. Yeah, okay. I wasn't like a hardcore fan, but I definitely watched it.
So I want to hear about your audition for this.
Sure. So it's funny. I had actually auditioned for the same project a few weeks earlier, and I had kind of had a sense for the tone, and I had been watching stuff from the same producers and just getting in the energy. And I did a lot of visualization since I had been to this office before. I was like, imagine yourself in the room doing it. And that's what I think a lot of actors should be doing. Just, if you can see it in your mind, there's no reason it can't come true. And so the audition was quick, short, and sweet. We did the, feelings helmet episode. I think it's in episode 2, the feelings helmet scene. And then I even threw a little bit of improv in on that. And that kind of, I guess, when I threw improv in the audition and then they chose to cast me, it made me kind of go, okay, well, maybe I'll try a little bit of this on set, see how it goes. And I thought I really liked it, and I thought it turned out well. I thought the directors I worked with really enjoyed just having somebody to bounce energy off of for these, smaller one-off kind of joke moments. It was really fun.
Did you know you were going in there to audition for the new Saved by the Bell?
I did. Okay. I did.
So were you in front of like the writers too, like Tracy and?
Nope. This one was actually just the 2 casting people, and they sent the footage out and around. I mean, I know for other roles they did do a more intense process, but they had seen me once before, so that could be another part of it, or they really like me, either way. But this was one where I went in, I did the tape, and we heard back a few weeks later.
So you play Colt. Like, how would you describe him?
Very lovable, very sensitive guy. I think he's like one of his good friends, Belmont, or Jamie in the show. Yeah, he's just a almost a puppy dog of just good quality energy. But as you can see, Colt's a little different. He's got his own background. His parents are clearly going through things, as you see in episode 5, or you hear about in episode 5. But he is a character who is, like many of the Bayside kids, just unaware of some other people's perspectives and struggles in life. And so, playing that support character with Jamie, it just felt really fun. We had a lot of fun doing it, and having a girl on the football team, being a part of a football team that is accepting, you know what I mean? Colt is not your average football meanie, and that's kind of what you expect when you first see me, but then you realize it's like, oh, these guys are a little bit different,
Yeah, it's not your typical high school where you saw.
Yeah.
For the way they wrote it, they did so I've seen all I have 1 episode left to watch. I have episode 10 to watch, but every episode that I watch, it's like they did the scripts right, and they've kind of it has nothing it has the some of the original people from the original cast, but it's like the way they made the atmosphere, it's different. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's another thing worth noting, just as far as anyone who wants to be an actor, or anybody who just studies film or studies TV and wants to write for TV or something. The original show is a multicam comedy, where the remake is a single cam comedy. And those are styles that we talk about just based on how they shoot it. Single cam comedies often do have more than just one camera, but the reason it's called that is like the perspective of the storytelling is like more through, a tighter, closer lens. It's more realistic, where with multicam, that's usually on a stage, and it's usually there's laugh tracks. It's something like the original was. There's moments for pauses because the studio audience is actually watching. They're giving their live reactions, and they're waiting for the laughter to die down so they can say their next line clearly.
How was it working with this cast and members of the original cast?
It was awesome. Elizabeth Berkley was so nice. I was telling her about an audition that I had coming up, and she was just giving me the most sweetest, most encouraging advice ever. And Mario's super fun, super quick. Can't get anything past him for sure. And he's just a great energy to work with.
Out of all the first season, the 10 episodes, what was your favorite scene overall? And then what was your second favorite scene, like with you being in it?
That's a good question. I don't know. I had so much fun every time I got to be on set. I will say, I think it's in episode 10, or it's either in, I can't remember if it's 8, 9, or 10, but there's the football boys do a dance number. And have you seen that yet?
Is that what you guys are wearing Jamie's wearing the tux?
Yeah.
I think it's either
7 or 8. I think it's 8.
Something like that.
That, I have to say, that was actually my last day of filming on set, and that one was so special and fun for me to do because, like I said, I come from music, I come from dance, I come from performance. So that was just a really, really special and fun day for me.
Didn't you also do a dance scene with Mario Lopez too in the house party?
I did. Yeah, that house party. That was another day that was just so much fun.
That had to be a classic scene for you.
Oh yeah, and I had watched the reference footage and just kind of realized, okay, I'm wearing kind of the Screech costume. What was Screech doing? Okay, he was playing piano, so I start playing air piano, and just all those little things, those things that the diehard fans are gonna see and go, "Ooh, there's an Easter egg." Those are the type of things that the team and the actors were kind of just trying to put in there, and I had a lot of fun on both those days where I got to dance.
There's definitely a lot of Easter eggs throughout each episode.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard anything about season 2 yet?
I don't know if that information is released to the public at the moment. So as of now, we are watching season 1 and telling people to get out there and watch and see season 1. But when more information is available to the public, you will know, and we will all be. I'll be hopefully getting a little more Saved by the Bell in our lives.
So what's next for you?
That's a great question. With the pandemic and everything, a lot is closed off, but the industry is slowly and safely starting to get back together. I think, auditions will be coming in. I have movies that I've done within the last year that will still be coming out. And so, I'm one of those people who lives in the moment fully, and I guess I'll know what's coming next when it's right in front of me.
Speaking of auditioning, because I know with the whole pandemic and everything, a lot of people are now doing self-tape. What do you enjoy more, self-tape or in front of people?
It doesn't really make a huge difference to me one way or another. They both have their pluses, they both have their minuses. At the end of the day, whichever one it is you're going to do, be prepared. That's what it comes down to.
Well, when you're not working, what do you enjoy doing?
I really like playing music. I play the drums, I sing, I play piano. I try to stay active and do hikes and stuff when it's safe. I bike. I actually during the summer while we were all kind of cooped inside, I sanded and put together a bike. So I have a brand new bike. That's my special thing that I made for myself during the summer of the pandemic. And that's been a fun thing to do. Just building things. I've been refurbishing some furniture and stuff in the backyard, just, projects, keeping myself busy.
That's awesome. Lastly, how can the listeners find you on social media?
You can check me out on Instagram at DeShawn Cav. That's DeShawnCav. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, DeShawn Cavanaugh. That's DeShawnCavanaughh. Reach out on social media. We're happy to have you be a part of the journey. I like to post about successes, gratitude, but I like to keep it real too. So if you're interested in following the journey of an actor and artist in Los Angeles, I'm here. I'm all yours.
DeShawn, this was fun. Thank you for coming on.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elias.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap, everybody. That's a wrap.
Thanks for listening to the Man Cave Chronicles podcast.
I finally get my man cave.
You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at the MCC Podcast and our website, themccpodcast.com. Until next time.